Britain's incompetent government has once more lost control of the Chinese coronavirus pandemic that is now at the very beginnings of a second wave that looks set to be about half as severe as that of March and April's first wave.
The virus has started to spread again in an exponential way. Infections are up, hospital admissions are climbing. We risk many more deaths, many more families losing loved ones before their time. We will enforce those rules with tougher penalties and fines of up to £10,000. We will put more police out on the streets and use the army to backfill if necessary. If people don't follow the rules we've set out, then we must reserve the right to go further. We must take action now, because a stitch in time saves 9.
UK coronavirus hospital admissions and deaths since testing positive in 28 days. As you can see by the graph, the UK is nowhere near the magnitude of the first wave and illustrates the extent of the lack of testing during the first wave, as currently some 1,500 people are hospitalised compared to 20,000 at the peak. However, unfortunately, the second peak could end up being just as high in the number of patients hospitalised as the first wave, due to the reason that many people in hospital were dying. So there was a fast turnover in patients, whereas during the second wave, a lower death rate will mean the beds being clogged up by more patients. And yes, I've either got the flu or COVID. Day 4. So do allow some leeway with regards to this video. Anyway, COVID deaths, 28 days since testing positive. The only way to reliably measure the extent of the pandemic during the first wave was in the number of deaths, which illustrated the extent to which the government had lost control, as the number of daily deaths soared to a peak of 1,224 on the 22nd of April. The current number of daily deaths at 37 may seem mild in comparison, but so it seemed mid-March when 14 died on the 15th of March. However, the trend trajectory to that point warned of a catastrophe, which is precisely where we stand today, i.e. deaths per day 2 weeks ago were just 8 per day, rising to 37 today, which means the UK should brace itself for a huge increase in the death rate to around 1/3 of the peak of the pandemic, which 4 weeks from now could easily exceed 400 per day on a best case scenario. Worst case could reach 600 per day, or about half the April peak. So we are in the calm before the storm stage, let's hope. Well, they are morons. They probably aren't learnt any lessons. They got these advisors advising garbage, feathering their nests, promoting themselves, promotionists on TV. Oh, look at me, I'm witty, I'm so witty. Oh yeah, I'm say this, say that, garbage. Criminals. UK excess deaths. As the pandemic has gone on, the government has chosen to change the methodology used to measure the number of deaths, where the current method is to measure those who die within 28 days following a positive test for Covid-19 that currently totals 41,862 deaths. However, it is clear that the official current method results in a substantially lower death toll number than preceding method, which was by means of death certificates listing Covid-19, where the number jumps by 15,000 to 56,956. Though even this method underreports the true magnitude of the COVID death toll when one looks at the ONS weekly figures in terms of excess deaths above the seasonal average of how many deaths one would normally expect during the course of the year, which sees Britain's death jump to nearly 65,000. Therefore, where deaths are concerned, the most reliable metric is the ONS weekly statistics in excess deaths. And what about Sheffield, Britain's 5th largest city? What's the COVID situation right now in Sheffield? Well, barely a month ago, having 40 COVID positive test cases per 100,000 was seen as being a warning level, whilst 80 COVID cases per 100,000 was seen as being the danger level that triggers action to get a grip on the outbreak. So what do you think the current number of COVID cases per 100,000 is for Sheffield right now on the 7th of October 2020? What do you think it is? Higher than 80? Less than 80? 503 cases per 100,000, up from 101 just 2 weeks ago, a 5-fold increase in just 2 weeks, which illustrates that the people of Sheffield need to be ready for another imminent lockdown on par with that of March, though with likely schools open, though the universities are in lockdown already. So batten down the hatches and protect yourselves from an incompetent and useless government and city council that have once more let the virus rip loose, that will now cost several hundred more lives as the clueless morons run around like headless chickens, which is why we can expect at least another 200 deaths and maybe as high as 300 over the next 2 months. That's on top of 600 COVID deaths to date for Sheffield alone. 600 deaths. 600! Can you imagine it? For Sheffield alone. That's what happens when morons are in charge. So, fellow Sheffielders and people of Britain, keep safe. Wear those masks. Get some good ones that actually do something, rather than those cloth single layer ones. Get at least 4 layer. The more layers the better. And social distance. And hopefully I'll see you all on the other side of Britain's second pandemic wave that's just starting to take off.
Shala's off to Royal Hallamshire Hospital for X-ray and blood test. Was it 7th?
What?
7th of July?
Yeah.
So if you get infected, it's from Royal Hallamshire. Here it is. Royal Hallamshire. Gone good 5 months without getting infected. 4 or 5 months. So let's see what happens there.
Did you get blood test done? Why? What? So I to give you appointment for half 4 then? They give you appointment for when it's closed. What about X-ray? Did you have X-ray done? So when you went to reception, what happened? When you went to the reception desk, 4:20 p.m. what did they say? Did you say blood test? So why did you tell them blood test?
It was X-ray department, so I thought it's X-ray book for 4:20, so I have to go there first, isn't it?
You booked for, and then they sent you for blood test.
They didn't say, okay, yeah, you can go back. And I said, Dr. Shah,
They knew it'd be closed if they worked there.
the doctor didn't know. The book that they didn't know.
Did you tell them you got a blood test? Or did you, when did you tell the doctor you had a blood test?
When I finished my X-ray, I just said to him, I need to go.
When you went first, why didn't you say you got X-ray and blood test?
Did I know it's going to happen?
Well, when you went there...
When I asked the doctor, I'm going for X-ray, I said, There is the blood test that they say, oh, they're sending for blood. Go for X-ray and then they're sending for blood test.
They work there, they know it closes at 4:30.
What was it?
The appointment was 4:20 for X-ray and blood test, and 4:30 they closed. So we went for X-ray first. How long did X-ray take? So what did X-ray show?
Wait,
What? What did X-ray show?
wait. Mom.
Well, they don't tell you the results. Why didn't they just tell you? What do you mean they just look at it? So now you have to call GP up. They're supposed to tell you. You saw a doctor in it. They're supposed to look at the X-ray. They're supposed to look at the X-ray and tell you if anything's wrong. They didn't do that. They just took X-ray and what they said. No blood test, and they had X-ray and they didn't tell you what it is. NHS, with a lot of people. And so even when it's empty, they're useless. What's NHS? Useless when full, useless when empty.